What up, everybody? Happy Monday. For those of you headed back to work, I hope you smoked a blunt first and that you don't work 1 microsecond harder or longer than absolutely necessary at your job. Hopefully, laughing at my foul-mouthed sarcasm makes getting through your day just a little bit easier because, oh great, here we go again. Yet another tedious, insulting example of some corpo bitch putting on the tired act of, I'm just so open and honest about how our huge poor people melting corporation fucked you guys out of your money yet again. We're sorry. Oops.
We are deeply sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry. Sorry. We're sorry. Sorry.
Yes, that's right, everybody. Our favorite corpo bitch boy and Best Actor Award winner, Phil Spencer, saw fit to grace the screen of one of the gaming industry's best and most loyal clandestine marketing departments, Kinda Funny Games, to give a seemingly open and honest interview about how his company fooled their customers out of hundreds of millions of dollars yet again. You hate this, I hate this. What is less clear is why everyone else doesn't also hate this, because instead of pointing out how hollow and ultimately meaningless this kind of nonsense is, we get packs of obsequious toadies flock into their Twitch streams and YouTube videos to cream their pussies over how brave and honest the poor CEO with his $100 million salary is for bearing his soul and owning up to his mistakes to the poor proletariat, who in most cases wouldn't even deserve to lick shit off his boots. No guys, the corpos are really sorry this time. It was just an honest mistake. They're trying really hard though. Definitely don't take this as a reason not to pre-order next time. Yeah, how generous and benevolent indeed. Even Forbes was on hand to pass out the laurels hand over fist, saying Spencer was almost shockingly frank about how badly Redfall launched. Can someone tell me how it's possible for a person like Paul Tassi, who's been in the game for years, to still view stuff like this as shockingly frank and not as the backhanded psyop of damage control and corpo doublespeak that it so obviously is? I wonder if his paycheck has anything to do with his somewhat miraculous ability to come to the exact wrong conclusion so often. Anyway, I digress. So yes, Fat Cock Philly Spence conveniently showed up at the good old reliable industry mouthpiece Kinda Funny Games for yet another performance of his tired yet inexplicably popular act, Oops, we're sorry, I'm so sincere. Here's the clip. Nice Razer laptop, by the way. I'm sure that thing's GPU has tons of hours on it, am I right?
Well, of course, Redfall has released from Arcane Austin, and it's been a tough release week for that, coming out to low reviews and a lot of disappointment from many fans. Can you talk about that? What is your thoughts right now as we head into the first week of this game being out?
There's nothing that's more difficult for me than disappointing the Xbox community.
Nothing? I'm willing to bet losing your shareholders' money and getting your 7-figure bonus docked would be just a tad bit more difficult,
And just to kind of watch the community lose confidence, be disappointed. I'm disappointed. I'm upset with myself. I kind of revisit our process. You know, I think back to the announcement of 60 frames per second, and then we weren't shipping 60 frames per second. That was kind of our punch in the chin, rightfully, a couple weeks ago.
You're the CEO, Pops. Now, I'm not sure you're aware of this, but there actually is someone who is in charge of what features a game does or does not ship with. You know who that person is? You! You could have done something about it, but you didn't. And while your whole I'll take the blame act is all very noble and selfless, I'm sure, the fact is that if you, or the games director, or anyone in a management position, truly had a problem with the game shipping without 60 FPS support, it could have been fixed. The reality is that it wasn't fixed because you knew you'd hit revenue targets without it. Can we all just face it, please? Phil Spencer's job is not to ensure Microsoft and their subsidiaries deliver games that are enjoyed by customers. It's to hit numbers, KPI targets, and revenue goals. And to do it in an extremely oversaturated and cutthroat industry, that's going to require things like stripping out features and cutting costs however and anywhere possible. One of those things for Redfall happened to be 60 FPS support on launch. So don't sit here on a fucking Zoom call and whinge about how difficult that was for you and how much it hurt disappointing the Xbox community. You don't give a fuck.
The critical response was not what we wanted. Kind of pick myself up. What can we learn? How can we get better?
What can we learn? How can we do better? Now, some of you may be thinking what he means here is how can they as a developer learn from their mistakes and improve the quality of their games and products in the future in order to do better by their customers. That is not what he means. What he actually means is how can we, Microsoft, take field data and customer engagement numbers from this launch and use it to further fine-tune our projections and metrics for just how low the minimum in our next minimum viable product can be.
One thing I'll fight is kind of what went wrong. There's clearly quality and execution things that we can do. But one thing I won't do is push against creative aspirations of our teams. I'm a huge supporter of Arcane Austin. Their track record is awesome. I love a lot of the great games that they've built. This is one where the team didn't hit their own internal goals when it launched.
Damn, this guy's a fucking master, seriously. Look how quickly he brushes past there's clearly quality and execution things we can do and moves right into caping for the studio so he can appear as virtuous and noble, taking all the slings and arrows for him. He really wants the audience to forget that those internal goals that they didn't hit when the game launched were goals that he likely had the power to alter and adjust, or if need be, demand be enforced and met. But he didn't. And why didn't he? Because that was the plan all along. Minimum viable product.
I think it's maybe a little simplistic to just say, hey, if you would have just delayed it 3 months, the core creative of the game would have delivered on something that was different than what it was.
And he's right about that, actually, because again, he knows that the launch state of Redfall was not an accident. It was on purpose. It was intentional.
Team at Arcane is on taking the near-term feedback. We're still working on the 60 frames per second. We have a good timeline for that. We're committed to getting that done.
Oh, how generous! Committed to getting a launch feature, something as basic and fundamental as running at 60 frames a second. That's where the bar is, guys. Maybe we'll get around to having the game run at 60 FPS sometime after launch, but no. Tell me more about how honest and heroic Fat Cock Philly is here, please. He's just so stunning and brave getting that bare bones feature out the door for all of us. Eventually.
And we're going to continue to work the game. I think we've shown a commitment to games like Sea of Thieves and like Grounded to continue to go and build games. But I also know that these games are $70, and I'm not gonna I'm gonna take full responsibility for launching a game that needs to be great.
I don't understand why this is always seen as so admirable. Of course you're going to take full responsibility for it. That's your fucking job. You're the boss. You're not going above and beyond here. You're doing the bare minimum. I know these games are $70. Do you? Because you don't seem to care about doing anything about that. Why is this seen as being frank and relatable? Frank and relatable would be if he said something like, yeah, $70 is a lot, but hey, listen, $60 is not gonna get daddy his third yacht, you know what I'm saying? And we're just not interested in spending the kind of money necessary to get you an actual finished game. Fortunately, we've determined that we can sell you a $70 unfinished slop, and you idiots will keep buying it. All I have to do is come onto some corpo mouthpiece like Kinda Funny and pretend to be sorry about it. Now, that would be frank and relatable. Somebody call me when a CEO comes out and says that. Guys, I'll tell you what really happened with Redfall. It's not complicated. You see it literally all the time. This is a case of miscalculation. Plain and simple. Their calculation was that shipping a game approximately this bad would hit the KPIs it needed to without causing too much harm or an unacceptable level of damage to the brand and consumer base. They were wrong. It happens sometimes, even to corpos with nauseatingly enormous piles of money. Just don't get it fucked up. The mistake was not launching Redfall in such a piss-poor state. That was entirely by the numbers and intentional. The mistake was betting on it being tolerated anyway, and it just so happens that this time it wasn't. This is a calculation made all the time and played out using your money right in front of your eyes. The most recent Pokemon games, Darktide, Jedi Survivor, great examples of it being successful, while Redfall and Last of Us PC are examples of them missing the mark a little bit. In the end, it only matters to us, the customers, not them. This kind of stuff is inevitably just penciled in at the bottom of the cost of doing business column. It means no more to them than that.
Some days you get the bear, and some days the bear gets you.
That's correct, Commander Riker. Some days you get the bear, and some days the bear gets you. That's all this was. Stop looking for an alternative or more altruistic explanation. You won't find one. And besides, it's fucking embarrassing.
Woke up, smoke up, blunt, then I pass out. pass out. Woke up, what up, smoke up, blunt, then I'm back down. Back down. What? Yup, woke up, smoke up, blunt, then I pass out. Pass out. Woke up, what up, smoke up, blunt, then I'm back.